What is going on? Welcome back. Episode 50, 3rd and 20 podcast. My name is Frank Entwistle. We got the main man himself, Mr. Steed. Steed, how you doing today?
Doing pretty solid. Ready for the Hawks game tonight and ready to talk some football right now.
Yeah, Hawks playoffs. Dude, all of my friends are Knicks and Hawks fans, so that game is getting a little crazy.
It's getting dicey?
Yeah, battle between the friends.
Yeah, game one was pretty nice.
So we got a fun little episode here, episode 50. Figured might as well do a film analysis for episode 50. JT in the chat saying milestone episode. That indeed it is. So
Big 5-0.
Yeah, the big 5-0. Big 5-0. It's crazy. Didn't really expect, I guess, to make it to 50, but here we are, already 50 weeks in. Who would have thought? We have Jalen Hurts film analysis. So Jalen Hurts right now is probably one of the most polarizing, questionable quarterbacks, aside from like the rookie quarterbacks that just got drafted. This is a dude that he only played a handful of games last year, but the impact that he had on the Eagles offense was pretty tremendous. It was almost night and day from when Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback. Carson Wentz, who in 2017 and 2019 was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, a consensus top 10 quarterback. And then all of a sudden he comes out 2020, they really struggle. And then they put in the second round pick, Jalen Hurts, that everyone had questions about when they drafted him. And now he's all of a sudden been launched to be the starting quarterback in 2021. It's been a roller coaster of a career in general for Jalen Hurts. So why not do a film analysis on whether we think he can be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? So we're going to start off with the pros. My first pro for Jalen Hurts. I was really impressed with how he did in pressure downs and pressure situations when he was just kind of thrown in a COVID year to being the starting quarterback for this football team. We have a 4th and 2. This is his first ever start. This is actually in his second ever starting NFL quarter. And you're going to get the Saints in a cover 0 look here. So they're just going to be rushing all these guys. All these linebackers are coming. So Jalen Hurts, as a young player, has a decision to make. He needs to decide where he wants this ball to go and get the ball out. Because Jalen Hurts is athletic, but he's not athletic enough to just run around a free rusher with one-on-one blocking across the board. So he just makes a decision and throws a perfect back shoulder pass to his boy Alshon Jeffrey. And this really impressed me. This is a fantastic throw. He takes a lick, right? You can see from the back angle here. He gets rocked, but he stands in the pocket, stands strong, makes a perfect throw. Really nice to see from a young quarterback, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's also where you see where another pro for Jalen Hurts is just kind of his mental toughness right now to take that hit and, still deliver the throw on time as well.
Yeah, just mentally speaking, I thought that Jalen Hurts was like much farther ahead of a lot of other quarterbacks. So here's another example of a nice pressure down. This is a 3rd and 1, late third quarter against the Cardinals. And this is an interesting scenario because it's 3rd and 1. You're at your own 30-yard line, own 29-yard line to be more specific. You're down 6. 4 minutes left in the third quarter. So this is a scenario where if you don't get this first down, you can't go for it. You're not going to give Kyler Murray and the Cardinals a short field where a field goal makes it a 2-score game. And you really don't want to give their special teams a chance to get a punt return and have the ball at the 30, 40-yard line, all of a sudden 2 first downs, and they're going to put the ball between the uprights, and then it's a 2-score game again, right? They got Kyler Murray, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the NFL. So this is like we really want this first down scenario. So what they're going to do is they're going to run a rub route. They're going to motion Goddard across and just rub him. Now what happens, as I'll get the play rolling here, is that Isaiah Simmons, you see him creep up to the line here. They're overloaded. The Cardinals are going to be rushing 3 on this right side, and no one accounts for Isaiah Simmons. And you can see that Isaiah Simmons is going to get here before Dallas Goedert has a chance to get actually pass this rub, right? He can't anticipate this throw. It's going to be too early. The timing's not there. So Jalen Hurts has this beautiful shoulder dip, escape Isaiah Simmons, make a play to Dallas Goedert for a first down. Like, he looks like a veteran on a lot of these plays. This is his third start or second start, one of the two. I think it's his second ever start. And he's making plays like this late in the game on third down. It's really cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, he just shows, like, in special plays like that, the upside that he could bring to the table. You give him 16 starts in a season, or 17 now.
Yeah, lastly, here's the second quarter. Early in the second quarter, this is a 4th down and 3 in the red zone. There's nothing there on this quick out, right? We go back real quick. This is perfectly covered by the Cardinals. There's nothing here. But he just does a great job keeping the play alive, finds Greg Ward in the end zone. Touchdown on 4th and 3. Like, Jalen Hurts, when he was elevated to the starting quarterback of this offense, gave this team new life on these 2-point conversions and 4th down scenarios. This is a team that, when they won the Super Bowl in 2017, was one of the best 2-point conversion, fourth and short teams in the NFL. And then they kept that identity. The data analytics says, hey, we should be an aggressive team. And then you saw for a large part of the season, they were one of the worst teams at it. They couldn't convert these 4th and 3rds and 2-point conversion, short yardage scenarios to save their lives. But then once Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, it was new life to this team. All of a sudden, when they were asking Jalen Hurts to make plays on these different scenarios, he was actually converting them. And one of the reasons why, like we saw in that last play, was how good he was at off-script plays and extending plays. So you're going to see here's an example where Jalen Hurts just extends a play. Something that Carson Wentz kind of struggled with. He's just going to extend this play here, escape the pocket. So they have almost like this smash, this extended smash, more like a 4 verticals where you have this number 3 taking this middle high safety, another seam, and then this, instead of this number 1 going vertical, you have him stopping up at the sticks, which is really putting this corner in the top right in a bind. Does he want to go with this vertical deep or just leave, his guy wide open right at the first down marker? And this is in part caused because Jalen Hurts extends this play with his legs, escaping the pocket, and stretches these zones. And Zach Ertz just ends up being wide open down the field. He also does a really good job of keeping his eyes downfield when he is scrambling. He's not just looking for the run. He is very much looking for the throw downfield and putting defenders in conflict scenarios. And then also, just as everyone has probably watched, you didn't need to watch the All-22 to see this, just his running ability. You can see on this play, I missed it. On this play here, they're running a man coverage, and there is no one open. You can look at every receiver you want to. There's nowhere to go with this football. But the C's part up front, Jalen Hurts basically just gets a walk-in touchdown. I mean, you see this time and time again where teams want to play man coverage. They had a ton of success playing man coverage against the Eagles receivers earlier in the season, but when Jalen Hurts was the starting quarterback, when you play man, you got backs turned, and you're giving him space to run with the football down the field, and he was gashing teams over and over and over. He averaged 69 yards per game as a quarterback running the football.
Yeah.
So you can ask and say, well, why didn't they just sit in a spy? Well, here's an example of why you didn't really want to just sit in a spy. So you see the Cowboys, they have this spy right here, only rushing 3. But what happens is you're just going to leave a hole in the middle of the field, because one thing that Jalen Hurts does well is that he doesn't necessarily rely on the run, A, and B, he doesn't really have a tendency when he runs the football. He's not the kind of guy that, he's always trying to bounce outside of the tackle to his right or trying to go through the B gap to his left. He does a really good job of, he's going to escape the pocket, taking what the defense gives him. If they spy, well, he's not going to try and extend past the line of scrimmage. He's just going to either sit in the pocket or, float through here and back and not playing into the spy. He does a really good job of that. So defensive coordinators, you're kind of giving them fits, deciding, well, how are we going to stop Jalen Hurts using his legs? Because he's very comfortable going back, forward, side to side, A gap, B gap, backward, all these different directions. There's not really like a set formula to say, okay, we're just going to do a tackle and stunt and make sure he doesn't bounce outside the tackles, because he's very good at just finding the hole in your pass rush and exploiting that hole. And he's very cool, calm, and collected when doing it and keeps his eyes downfield. So there's not really like a formula to stop it.
Yeah, like if you compare him to as a runner to Cam Newton, I think it like in the open field also, he's just a little bit quicker. And I think that's also what makes him very valuable in the running game.
So
his rushing attack.
You can tell how valuable he is in that running game now that you mention it, because with Carson Wentz as the starting quarterback, they averaged 116.25 yards per game. That's like, I think, a little bit below average. Maybe it's just about average in the NFL. It's not terrible, but it's not great. With Jalen Hurts as the starting quarterback, they averaged 171.3 yards per game, which would have been second in the NFL to the Baltimore Ravens and ahead of the Titans, who had a 2,000-yard running back, right?
Yeah.
That's a 55-yard difference. That's a massive difference. So part of that was because of Jalen Hurts' skill set, and the other part of that is how this coaching staff would use Jalen Hurts, which was really great. So here's an example of a play that I really liked. This is going to be a play action here to Boston Scott. This is week 17. And you have an RPO here with Jalen Hurts. They try to get this rub with I think this is Goddard here. So this is an interesting play. It's an interesting take on the RPO because they have the rub, but you can still throw the ball in this little hole to Greg Ward if everyone just flows over the top to try and stop Hurts. You have Goddard in the flat in this one, and then he turns this upfield for a wheel for a little second window option, and then Jalen Hurts can, as you see here, just run the ball. So the way that they would use him, they would use him in quarterback draws, classic zone reads where you're reading a defensive end, just scrambling. He would make a living scrambling. And then they had a couple of these fun little play action RPO kind of plays where Jalen Hurts would be the run option. And it's, you combine all of this together, and Jalen Hurts was a real factor with his legs because he didn't necessarily rely on him on using his legs. He was fine sitting in the pocket, but when the opportunity presented itself, he would make you pay. So just all in all, Jalen Hurts' off-script running ability was a huge asset. And the last thing that I really loved about Jalen Hurts, and this is one of my favorite plays that I saw watching his 4 games or 3.5 games on all 22, it's actually a sack that he takes against the Cardinals, because I think it's a really good example of showing how ahead of his time he is as a post-snap processor. That is my third pro, is that I really like his post-snap processing and his decision-making for a young quarterback that was thrusted into a starting role. One of the big problems that a lot of young quarterbacks have, and we saw with Carson Wentz, was turnovers, trying to force things that aren't there, just trying to make a play. So here's an example. This is 3rd and 15, late in the first quarter. They're down 9-0 in the football game. There are a lot of young quarterbacks that'll just really try and get back in this football game too early. They're going to try and make it all back in one throw. It's 3rd and 15. We're down 2 scores. We don't want this game to get away from us. I'm going to make a play here. So the Eagles on this right side of the screen where Jalen Hurts is going to be reading, they're just going to have dagger called. I'll draw it up real quick if I can get to my pen. Is it Shift X? Yeah. So you're going to have this like over kind of clear out, and then they're trying to hit Alshon on this little dig in this window. And what the Cardinals are going to be playing, Shift C to clear, I think. Shift C, bang. Yeah, the Cardinals are just going to be playing man coverage across the board with a robber. So one of these safeties, I believe it's him, is going to come down and be sniffing anything in the middle. And then you have this safety who stays staggered over the top, right? Pretty standard stuff. And what a lot of young quarterbacks expect to happen is this safety to run with this over, right? you're expecting this safety who's kind of just reading the quarterback's eyes and looking for anyone. You're expecting it when a guy crosses his face in his zone for him to follow that guy, which is going to leave this dig with a lot of space in behind. But unsurprisingly, NFL safeties are pretty damn good. You know, they understand that that first guy is a bait, and they're looking for this dig underneath. So Cardinals defense is a great call for them, and they do a good job of not taking the bait here, right? You see Alshon Jeffrey just basically stops, and Jalen Hurts immediately says no to this concept, and he ends up taking a sack. But I really like how he says, no, I'm not falling for the bait and making this throw, which is a would-be interception. I'm just going to take the ball down and not do anything stupid. Live to fight another play. I'm just going to live to fight another play. And this reminded me of another film analysis that we did earlier in the year with Sam Darnold. This is the same play and against the same concept. They're just running it from a 3-by-1. So he's going to be this vertical and he's going to be the dagger on the outside. And the Seahawks are in the same coverage. Jets, late in the first quarter, down 7-3. Sam Darnold, you just think about the scenario. You're losing every football game. You're the Jets. You haven't won, I don't think, up until this point. You know, you're trying to just make something happen. It's a 3rd and 8. Let's get back in this game. And Sam Darnold takes the bait. He thinks, oh, well, Jamal Adams, he's going to run with this over, but he doesn't. He's sniffing the eyes, and he drops a would-be interception. He's lucky that's not Minkah Fitzpatrick or Budda Baker because they're taking that to the house. Yeah. Yes, that was a dig on Jamal Adams. So I just really like how Jalen Hurts, just that play alone shows me, well, wow, like really good post-snap decision-making, post-snap processing, because a lot of guys in that scenario are going to try and force that football into that dig.
Yeah, especially from rookies. And I think that's where Jalen Hurts is another pro for him, is just also like he shows you in that play is just his maturity level. It's already like advanced
off the charts.
Players his age.
Yeah, 100%. I really like that because not only is he a great leader, it's just it felt like he was a veteran as a rookie, right? It was actually really interesting to see. And the last thing that I think is really underrated about Jalen Hurts, and I had to put this on here, was that his deep ball and his deep throwing accuracy, his accuracy on the sidelines is really good. This guy is very good at throwing the football down the field. So you get a little example there on a deep out. And then here's a nice little deep ball here from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' deep ball is really good. Like, he throws dimes.
Yeah, he does.
And the thing that I like about it is that Alshon Jeffrey was, for the most part, mitigated the entire season until Jalen Hurts was ascended to the starter. And I'm not going to come out here and act like Alshon Jeffrey was an elite receiver last year. I think that Jalen Hurts made Alshon look a little good. Now you add who I think is one of the top deep ball receivers in Devontae Smith. Now you add him to be that number one player in the offense. Jalen Reagor kind of proved on film that he wasn't able to be that alpha number one. He would get bullied at times. Now you kind of put both of those receivers in roles that really suit them. So I think that that's going to be huge for Jalen Hurts in this offense. So yeah, just all in all on his pros, you felt like you got a veteran year one. And like mentally speaking, he's really ahead of the curve and showed you a lot. He did a really good job of taking care of the football compared to Carson Wentz. I understand he had 4 interceptions on the stats, but the stats did lie a little bit. Some of those interceptions, they were very circumstantial. Other pros, he's a model professional. You get a full off season with a coaching staff as the starter, taking starter reps. And up until this point, he's had huge linear progression. We were talking before the podcast about every single year, Jalen Hurts has taken massive strides. Why can't that continue to happen now that he is the full-time starter? I am really excited for Jalen Hurts. But now let's get into do you have any other pros, actually, before we move on?
I mean, just like to touch on that linear thing, going back to his college days, I mean, this is a guy who lost his job to Tua, who went number 3 overall. And he went from losing his job to finishing second in the Heisman voting like a year later. So,
number 5 overall for Tua, by the way. Just
number 5 overall. Sure. Oh
I'm
yeah,
pretty
because
sure.
Herbert went 6. Yeah, Herbert
Yeah.
went 6. But anyways, like still top 5 pick. But it's just the thing is like I want to see from Jalen with the 4 games. I hope that wasn't his ceiling already. I hope there's like he could keep breaking through it, and there's more to come on.
Yeah, 100%. So let's get into the cons here that I have with Jalen Hurts. So the first thing that needs to be said is that this is a COVID year, and he was thrusted into the starting position, and he clearly did not have a full grasp of the offense. So I'm going to try and not hold that against him too much, and we should expect to see that improve. But with that being said, from the mental aspect of things, there was 2 things that I did not like about his film. The first is that he would just straight up give up on plays too early and not really get through his entire progression. He has this Texas route to Miles Sanders wide open, and he just turns it down. This is one of those plays that's like, you just kind of have to hit this if you want to be an NFL quarterback. You're not really gifted touchdowns too often. And you're going to say here, oh, well, he ends up making a play and scoring a touchdown. He was out at the 5-yard line, so don't give me that. That's a gimme touchdown. And that's not a hard read. That is like the number 1 or number 2 read on this play. It's not anything groundbreaking. You need to be able to see that. It's right in front of your face. Before you go and start scrambling, get through an extra read. Just get through your make sure you're actually doing the play before you give up on it, because it's wide open. It happens time and time again. The other major con I had with Jalen Hurts is that he had a tendency to stare at the rush a couple of times. And I think that is kind of part of the reason for that previous con of him giving up on the play, is that he's just looking at the rush too much. So this might be reaching at straws a little bit, but I tried to analyze this. So we can see Jalen Hurts' eyes. So it starts off on the rush, right? You're supposed to look at the defense. Okay, how many guys are blitzing? He sees, okay, a whole lot of guys are coming. There's Zach Ertz is right here on the right side of the screen. Then he starts looking at Zach Ertz, and you see here, you can see his eyes change planes, either from looking at the rush or looking to Ertz. But I think he was looking at Ertz. Now he's looking at the rush again with his eyes change planes. Then he goes back to looking at Zach Ertz. And then his eyes go back to looking at the rush, because he sees right here. You can see that little head turn. That little head turn. Now he's looking at number 90, right? Coming around here, his guy's getting beat. And he's saying, oh, crap, it's time to dip. And if we go to the actual play, you are going to see Alshon Jeffrey running wide open over the middle for what would have been a massive play. He is wide open. I understand this is tough, right? He's a young quarterback. Obviously, he's going to be a little flustered when you blitz the shit out of him. But it can't be rush, Zach Ertz, rush, dip. It's got to be, let me see the rush. Let me look at Zach Ertz, get to my second read. If it's not there, then I feel the pressure and then dip, right? It can't just be, you can't look at the rush that much. You just can't. You have to feel it. You have to understand, okay, I see who's coming, see it out of my peripherals, but still get through at least 2 guys, because this is a great play call up here. You have a nice little switch release up at the top. And his guy's going to get – this is unbelievably good leverage on this play. He's guarding him from 10 yards away. That is the perfect play call that Doug Peterson, this Eagles staff, put Jalen Hurts into, and he needs to take advantage of it. Okay. This is the biggest issue, though, I have with Jalen Hurts. And this is easily something that he must fix. His footwork is bad, and it is the number 1 cause for his accuracy issues. And his accuracy issues are mainly on the easy throws, the short throws over the middle, the little in rhythm throws. It is 100% due to these 2 guys right here. So you're going to see he's extremely toesy. He's always on his toes when he's throwing the ball. It is incredibly difficult to be consistently accurate when you're throwing on your toes and you're heel clicky. You just can't do it. You can see he's bouncing on his toes. His back foot, his cleats are not in the ground. And it leads to so many consistent accuracy issues. There's one example here. We can get to an example here. There's countless examples on the film of this. where he's on his toes. He's not throwing with his cleats fully in the ground. His feet are too close together. His base is weird, and he is incredibly inaccurate because of it. If you don't believe me, we can look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Aaron Rodgers' feet. All his cleats are in the ground when he throws this football. It's fluid. It's clean. Look at his feet. It's just calm. It's cool. All his feet in the ground. Let's look at the other GOAT. Let's look at Tom Brady. Look at his feet. All his cleats in the ground, not heel clicky. Just all those cleats in the ground. He's consistently accurate over the middle. Tom Brady made a killing on the Patriots, just dinking and dunking the football a lot of the time, being consistently accurate. If you want to play in this league, you have to make the easy plays. You have to. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it shows up all over the place. This is easily his number one issue. When he wants to go pivot and play quickly, right? He struggles. He's looking down the field, wants to quickly hit his check down. His feet are all over the place. And he's incredibly inaccurate because of it. He needs to work on this. So then the other thing, too, this is another like footwork-based issue, is that his throwing off platform is not good. And it's slow. That's the other problem. It's not only because it's fine when he's in space, but when he's under pressure and he has guys in his face, his off-platform throwing is just not really bad, but it needs improvement. So here's an example here. It's going to be one of these naked boots. And there's going to be pressure in his face here. He's going to look at the flat, and he's going to see right there, Zach Ertz is open. Let me rewind this slightly. I want to get the exact moment to when he sees. Right there. He sees exactly, I want to throw this to Ertz. These defenders are 5 yards away. This is enough space to make this throw. You need to, in one clean motion, get your hips flipped 180 degrees and flick this ball out quickly. He takes like 2 jumps. There's one jump there to get to the sideways position and a second jump to get into his throwing position with a long, windy kind of throw for an incompletion. If this is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, they're in one clean motion, getting their hips flipped around and flicking the ball out on an arm angle. Jalen Hurts needs to be able to do that if he wants to compete with these guys, because this is a completion that you need in a lot of games. I think this is a 2nd and 8, so you're living to fight another down. But if this is it's 2nd and 8 versus a first down, or 3rd and 8 versus a first down in a close game, they lost this game by a touchdown. This could be the difference between a win and a loss. These kinds of plays.
Yeah.
So then, okay, my thing's not working. So yeah, now we just get into an example of his clear off-platform throwing with a guy in his face. Just inconsistent. Throws in the dirt, right? He needs to improve on off-platform throws at guys in his face. It's tough, right? This is nitpicking a little bit, but he has to improve on it. So here's off-platform from in the pocket with a guy in his face. So his right guard on this stunt's going to get driven back into him, and he underthrows this football. This is a beautiful call from the Eagles staff on this Mills concept. So run this 2 high safeties. Mills is a really good concept to call against 2 high safeties. Hey. Come on, give me the pen. There we go. So you're going to get this dig over here, this basic, and a post. And what happens is this safety, especially a lot of the times in cover 4, any sort of quads coverage or like cover 6, this safety is responsible for this number 2 guy. So he'll bite forward, and then you have a post on outside leverage, that corner. So it's just naturally a pretty damn good call to run. But because of this pressure in Jalen Hurts' face, he's going to underthrow this football pretty drastically by a couple of yards. And it gives this corner, Patrick Peterson, I believe that is, all-pro level corner. He's going to make a play on that ball if you underthrow it that much. Now, this is a tough play. This is not an easy throw by Jalen Hurts. But if you're going to compare him to the top quarterbacks, well, you're going to have to be able to make this throw slightly off platform, a little wonky. This is the NFL right here, the difference between college and the NFL. You got to be able to make throws with guys in your face. And that's where Jalen Hurts has just struggled up until this point. Clearly, those two issues, just his footwork on these short throws and his off-platform throwing mainly with guys in his face. Those are two major issues. The bright side is that he's got a lot of the hard stuff down. Generally speaking, the hard stuff to get down, like we saw with Sam Darnold, is making sure you're not taking the fast enough. Mentally speaking, Jalen Hurts plays fast enough. He just needs to get his feet and his shoulders and his throwing mechanics to play as fast as he mentally processes things. And that just kind of comes with repetition. You could teach that. You can 100% teach that.
That's what the thing is, like, with COVID and him not getting fully like first team reps for and then just being thrown in the fire. Now knowing that he's the number one guy and he's getting all these reps at OTA right now and everything, you would feel like the new staff is really hammering hard on his footwork, and that just over time, hopefully it becomes muscle memory for him.
Well, kind of like we were saying earlier, if he keeps progressing at the rate that he has been every year since college, dude, he's going to tackle these minor issues in no time. Like we could see him tackle him by the start of next season. He might fix a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, all in all, Jalen Hurts, is he a franchise quarterback? Well, that's a tough question to answer because it really does depend on whether or not he can overcome a lot of these minor issues. But if I were the Eagles general manager, if I were Howie Roseman, I agree that I and they made the right decision in passing up on drafting Justin Fields and Mac Jones. I think that was a good move to try and give the Jalen Hurts experiment a run, because I think from what we have seen on tape and how much he has improved, that he deserves and is worth taking a shot on to be your franchise quarterback. At the end of the day, you still need coaching. And I think that that's the big concern that I have is Nick Sirianni and these guys going to be able to put him in a system good enough and show him the steps that he needs to take to really develop him? I don't know. But I think that from what I've seen, Jalen Hurts definitely does have the potential to be a franchise quarterback. He has a lot of the hard stuff down. Does he have a good deep ball? Does he play fast enough? All the stuff that he needs to fix. Like, there are a lot of minor issues, but they are minor issues at the end of the day. And with how much we've seen him improve, I am on the Jalen Hurts bandwagon. I came away from this film analysis much more confident in Jalen Hurts. And I think that my initial analysis on Jalen Hurts was before the pod, but I did not think I would have taken him with a second-round pick. I was wrong.
Yeah, I definitely think he's worth a shot. The thing is, like, him being a franchise quarterback, that's me thinking that he's going to be there for the next 10 to 15 years. And, I think he's going to have to prove me wrong a little bit. I don't see it. I think he's a durable starter in the NFL for sure. And it's just for me to label him a franchise quarterback for me. I think he could definitely win you football games. But I'm not sold on him being like a franchise kind of guy yet.
The problem with him being a franchise quarterback is that he clearly does not have that elite level arm talent. So
that it factor. It's just like,
I think he has the it factor. I don't think he has the elite level arm talent factor. Like, if you're going to compare him with Sam Darnold, they're almost polar opposites. Sam Darnold has the arm talent. He needs what Jalen Hurts has got, right? And that's usually the problem with quarterbacks, is that they don't have what Jalen Hurts has. They don't have that cool as a cucumber, mentally speaking, where they're just, when the situation gets tough, he gets better, right? And he's just a natural leader, and he has that confidence. Like, that's usually what you're trying to get in these guys, and they usually have the arm talent. Jalen Hurts is the other way around, but we've seen this work before with guys like a Drew Brees. If he is able to get his technique, he doesn't need to be at the level of Drew Brees because he has that physical talent. I don't think he ever will. But if he is able to just get his minor mechanical issues down, or they're actually pretty major mechanical issues, but I think that they are minor to solve, he gets this stuff down. I think he could very well be a franchise quarterback. He's not going to be one of those flashy guys necessarily. He's not going to wow you like the Patrick Mahomes, and maybe he doesn't have that top 5 potential. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask me, football coach Frank, who would I rather have on my football team to try and win games? Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts. I'm easily taking Jalen Hurts. And I think I'm still taking Jalen Hurts over some of the more established quarterbacks. Maybe even like a Kirk Cousins or Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins. Even maybe like a Jimmy Garoppolo. Like Jimmy Garoppolo's good, but I think that Jalen Hurts has really got it, like that it factor. And I think that Jalen Hurts, with the tape that he showed, would have been a top 20 selection, top 25 selection in the draft.
Yeah. I think what I really liked about Jalen Hurts, and this is kind of more of an off the field thing, is that, you know, the Eagles locker room was kind of distraught last year and lost like during the season after the whole fiasco went down and everything. But like you kind of seen it, like I don't know if you've seen, but like Miles Sanders and other players on that team have said like, hey, listen, like Jalen Hurts walks in here and we know he's the guy. Like it's no questions about it, because they were asking like, is Jalen Hurts in the quarterback battle? They were like, hell no. Like Jalen Hurts is the guy. Like he's got that natural born leader. So for him to already gain the trust of that locker room that just seemed very split up at the end of last year, I think that really points to how great of a natural born leader, you know, like you saw it at Bama and Oklahoma with those two teams there. I mean, you could just kind of rally around, especially like when he got benched in that national championship game. I mean, he's sitting there by to his side, giving him little insights here and there. I mean, listen, if that was me, I'm sitting on the bench, bro. Like, I'm just saying, though. That's one thing I do love about Jalen.
Dude, the thing is I came into this. I liked Jalen Hurts. I thought he was a good guy, but kind of like
I think he's an interesting project. I think he's an interesting project, and that's why I would take the shot on it. Because, like, you know, you see the potential. You like his mental toughness. He's just got to work on a few things. Like, you could – and you spend a second-round pick on him, and that's not like spending like a fifth or sixth. But, like, you know, like it's not – you didn't spend that high-value pick on a quarterback, right? Like, what if you just kind of hit the jackpot and, like, formulated a good team around him that elevates his playing? I think that's what they're kind of going for.
Man, I really think that, like, if you gave me Jalen Hurts as a coach, I could win football games. And I think I would easily take Jalen Hurts over some of these more flashy type of prospects, even some of the guys that just got drafted. Like, dude, you know, I think there's a difference between when you're talking about, like, at least for me, like Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson, because those two guys, it's like, okay, well, they're like number one overall pick kind of level, just do stuff that no one else can, kind of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But everyone else, it's like, dude, Jalen Hurts, from what he showed mentally, it's almost like what you want these other guys to have. So I really think that if I were a coach, I could develop him and win football games with Jalen Hurts as my quarterback. And I think the Eagles fans have a right to be really, really excited for what Jalen Hurts provides to this offense. And, dude, Jalen Hurts single-handedly is giving me confidence in this football team, which is weird to say because we've been bashing a lot of the decisions this organization has made. I think that they finally got it right, though, with a lot of their draft picks and sticking with Jalen Hurts, not panicking and saying, hey, let's develop this guy. Let's give this a go. I think that was a good decision. Yeah. So, AFC South over-unders. Next segmento. Hope you guys enjoyed the Jalen Hurts analysis. I know I did, and I thought it was a pretty good one. Thought we showed some good stuff. So, AFC South over-unders. To be honest, I'm not even prepared for this.
This one's going to be tough, dude. Like, it's not tough for, like, two teams, I think. It's just, like, you either have to pick, like, kind of like the Colts or the Titans, right?
Yeah, that's the feeling I'm getting as well. So, I'm pulling it up now. Sorry. Okay, let's see. All right, here we go. We got it. The Colts are at – what's the updated one? Okay. Colts are at 10. Let's start off with the Colts.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is such a tough one. I legitimately think this is a 10-7 football team. So I'm kind of asking myself the question, are the Colts more likely to get 11 wins or 9 wins? And I was someone that really liked the Colts last year, and I still do really like the Colts. But kind of like what you were saying, what is more likely? The Colts getting 11 wins or the Titans getting 10 wins? I think it's more likely that the Titans get 10 wins. And I'm going to be taking the under on the Colts at 10. I think that there is a higher probability that they get 9 wins and a lot of the moving pieces that they have don't work out than they do get 11 wins. But I just hate betting against that Colts defense. I really, really, really like that Colts defense.
I do too. And oh man, I don't want to agree with you on this because I know when we talked about it, I was on the Colts, but listen to their schedule right here. On top of them playing Tennessee and the new look Jaguars coming in, they got to play the Bills, Pats, Dolphins, Seahawks, Ravens, and the Bucs. You know,
yikes, dude.
I Dolphins. I may that's even game, but I think you're better than them. But I like the Bills, Patriots, Seahawks with Russ. Maybe you beat them, but I like the Ravens more. And I like the Bucs more. What we talking right there? That's 1, 2, and Tennessee and them are gonna neither one of them are gonna sweep each other. Last year they split, so I would stick with that. I think the Jags could get one, so that's 2 losses. The Bucs is a loss, Ravens loss, Pats, Bills. And then you got to play the Seahawks. You also have to remember
too. God, this is going to sound like kind of a meme, but the Texans also play in division really close.
Yeah, they do, but that was also with Watson.
Yeah.
Deshaun's going to keep him in the game. The thing I do like about this Colts team and why I think they can win some of these games, I think they're going to be able to run well. They have a good O-line. You got Taylor. You get Marlon Mack back. So where the question lies more Wentz doesn't really have a true number 1 receiver. And is Wentz going to fall? Is he going to fix his mechanics? Last year were just, all over the place. I don't know. I don't know how Wentz's confidence is. And based on the schedule, dude, I'm with you. I don't know if this team. I think this team is an 8 or 9 win team. I love their defense, like you said, but the schedule and Wentz. I can't really buy into him right now. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird. I like the Colts. I think they're a good team. I think I just liked their team last year a little more than I do this year. Too many moving pieces for me. Whether you think that Phillip Rivers sucked or not, his stats were really good. I thought he played phenomenally well, and the dude's got confidence like no other one in the NFL. He can go in there. He's going to go in there and think he's the best guy on the field, and he's going to talk shit. And I think that's kind of what the Colts needed at quarterback. I'm not sure I'm getting that out of Carson. I like Carson Wentz a lot, but you look at that receiving core, it really feels like for the Colts to go out there and be like a 12-win team, a whole lot of things have to go right for them. I think they have a phenomenal roster, and I think that if they make the playoffs, they're going to be a threat. I think there's a clear difference, though, between with their schedule being tough and them winning 11 games and them being a threatening team.
I mean, think about it. If their defense is still playing at an elite level and Carson Wentz kind of goes back into form and plays like a 2018, 2019 Carson Wentz, I mean, that team could be very scary. Pittman involved, takes that next step and becomes a number 1 receiver. But that's a lot of what ifs right there on the offensive end for me. I know Taylor is going to be able to put up yards, but it's just too many moving parts for me and too much trust in players that I don't want to buy into right now.
All right, let's go with the other team. Let's go with the Titans, the other favorite in the division. They're at 9.5. I kind of already tipped my hand. I'm going to take the over on the Titans. I know it's a little crazy. A lot of people are not on the Titans anymore. I still think that this team is a threat. I can only imagine their defense is going to be better than last year. Their defense was awful last year, and they still hit their over.
Horrible.
They still hit their over 9 wins, and they had one of the worst tackling defenses I think I've ever seen. they picked up some good players on that defense, so I'm going to assume their defense is a little bit better. Offensively, they lost some talent, but I think that they still have the pieces that make that offense turn. And you get Taylor Lewan back now, who I think is one of the better left tackles in football. You still, dude, Derrick Henry is a freaking animal. Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, like, and maybe they add Julio. Maybe you add Julio in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Julio might be going there.
I still think Vrabel's a good coach. He's a player's coach. He's going to get those guys ready to play. That's a team that they show up in big games. They play physical football, and I think that wins you games. So I think that there is a good chance that the Titans hit 10 wins. I think it's a better chance. If I'm a gambling man, I'd rather gamble on the Titans hitting 10 wins than the Colts hitting 11. I just think it's more of a value play. So I'll take the over on the Titans.
This was tough for me because I've always been like a kind of a Titan guy ever since that little run they had when they made the AFC Championship. I love Vrabel. I love Tannehill. I love Derrick Henry. Love AJ Brown. I think he's a monster. Would love Julio going there. Who did they all add on that defensive end again?
They added Bud Dupree. I know they drafted Elijah Molden and they drafted Caleb Farley, right?
Yeah, they did.
Picked up Caleb Farley. So they added those three guys.
Christopher Fulton's still there too from LSU.
Let me look up their depth chart. I looked it up the other day.
I don't know, but they're trusting Bud Dupree to take on that number one rushing, and I don't know if Bud Dupree could be the sole.
I don't know either, but I think that he'll be pretty damn good against the run at least. They still have Kevin Byard. Oh, they added Janoris Jenkins from New Orleans, which I think is a nice little pickup.
He played good for New Orleans, but
they drafted Rashad Weaver as well. Rashad Weaver.
Yeah, but didn't he already get in trouble?
Did he? Oh, yeah, I think he did. You're right. Yeah, you're right. They have a really good knack at doing that.
Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm taking, like, the NFC, like, East approach here. I'm going the under with the Titans. I think I would knock them in around an 8 or 9
Taking the under on both those teams, dude. Damn.
I am. I see this division being kind of a crapshoot this year. I do not love this division. I really don't see. And the thing is, I love Tannehill, but like the problem is just Arthur Smith is gone, and I know who their other OC is coming in. It's knockoff McVay, and from that one year he had with the Raiders, and they were horrific, like Derek Carr's worst year. And now you come in where Tannehill's like revived his career due to Arthur Smith, and Derrick Henry like was one of the best running backs in the league. I think the offense is going to drop back a little bit because of it, and I think that will really affect their already not so good defense, and they'll lose some close games.
Dude, you're really going to hate on knockoff McVay? Come on, man.
Yeah, I am, dude. He hasn't proved anything to me. Like, who's better? Like, knockoff McVay or Arthur Smith or Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. Dude,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like knockoff McVay, honestly. Simply because he's knockoff McVay. Like, if he's a 7-11 McVay, dude, that could get me 10 wins.
Maybe.
You never know.
I don't know about that.
Dude, you're just hating. All right, let's go on the Jaguars. Jaguars over under 6.5. This is probably the one that I've been the most torn on, this and the Colts. Because I think that the Jaguars, I would peg him at like 6 wins. Like 6 or 7 I think it's a perfect line. I really want to hit the over, though, because I really like what the Jaguars have done this offseason. I think that the Jaguars, in terms of a team that has made their football team the most better, it's got to be the Jaguars. I think this is
easily.
I think that, honestly, if one of the Titans or the Colts, like let's say their quarterback gets hurt or they just come out and play like the Vikings did last year, dude, this team could be a fringe playoff team. Honestly,
I know.
I think I'm going to take the over on the Jaguars. I'm on the Urban Meyer train. Dude, I'm hitting the over on the Jaguars. Let's go Trevor Lawrence, baby.
Yeah, I'm with you. This might only over. I mean, this tips my Texans, but like I think everybody in the world is picking the under for them. But like, yeah, I'm going over as well with you on the Jags. And I, what I like about the Jags is you're right. Like Vegas is seeing it too, because like there's no way a 1-win team should just get jolted straight to 6.5. You know, like usually they should be around like where the Texans are now, but I thought they drafted very well. You know, they had the big cap space, and I thought they addressed some positional needs, especially on the defensive side. I don't. I like this team a little more than a fringe playoff team. I like this team to compete with the division.
Wow.
I think this team can. I think T-Law and that Urban Meyer staff can go. They have a good offensive line. They have two nice running backs over there. You got Laviska, you got DJ Chark. You got weapons, and that defense can just play at like a top 15 level. I think the offense will be a little more transcendent, and Urban Meyer has never failed where he's gone. I know it's college and it's a little different, but this is still a very young team, so it might have that little college-esque to it. I think they can flirt and win this division, especially with me being down on the Colts and the Titans. I can see them flirting with like nine wins because I see this kind of like more of a Cowboys football team division. Like I just think they're all going to beat each other up.
Man, I just their roster is like surprisingly pretty damn good.
Now
Like,
the only
that's
thing
the
about it is like they're going to have to trust a lot of these rookies to play day one, you know. And
No,
you
yeah,
gotta play.
I agree with that. And
But that's honestly like sometimes it works, you know. Like
well, that's the thing is that people sometimes forget that one really stud draft class can completely change your team around. Like 180 change your team from being like a meddling team or even a bad team to being sick. And I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you just kind of were gifted the number one player. Like, oh, here you go. Like, you want the best quarterback prospect in a long time? Well, here he is. Like, dude, I'll take it. Yeah, give me the over. Texans, I think we can keep this one pretty short. Under, I think 4.5 is like really generous for the Texans.
I thought they were going to get like 3.5, honestly.
Yeah, Texans. Generally speaking, I don't think you should overthink this too much, dude. Like all the teams that were the lowest over/under win totals last year, they all hit the under. The only one that didn't was the Washington football team, which we both took their over. We both believed in the Washington football team.
Yeah, I remember picking that. We were just like, we don't know why we're doing this, but it feels like an over. And we were right, dude. Won the division.
Dude, what do you mean? Ron Rivera's there, dude. Ron Rivera. I love Ron Rivera. That guy, he just brings that team atmosphere, man.
We thought, Ron Rivera is a very good coach, but like we love their defense. Like we thought like if their secondary kept up with their front seven, like easily. And then it was especially after you got like a very like experienced quarterback, Alex Smith too, where like they were able to move the ball and hit their stride. But I mean that's the football team. The Texans are not going to be moving the football. They don't know who's taking snap. I guess it's Davis Mills. The first pick you had in the third round this year.
So brutal. Be a Texans fan.
Then you get then they drafted the receiver from Michigan again, right?
Nico Collins. Yeah, I like Nico Collins, but Nico Collins isn't going to save you.
Listen, it's a roster full of like zero elite talent, right? Like they don't have like besides like Laramie Tunsil that really is just they're looking at him and be like, you screwed our franchise. Like you gave all our picks to the Dolphins. I think this team might be the first ever 0-17 team.
They have the recipe to be a really trash team. You know, the thing is that, man, I've seen teams. I saw the Browns who had literally the best left tackle in football. They were trash. You know, cool. You've got Laramie Tunsil. He's a good build-around piece, but he's not the cherry on top. I've seen teams. I saw the Lions go 0-16 with freaking Megatron. The dude who you just throw it up to him and he catches it with 3 people around him.
Yeah.
If Nico Collins is Megatron, like, good for you, but I still don't think he's going to save you. Dude, this team, they have a good linebacker. What's the guy's name? I'm pulling up their depth chart right now because he's like the only good player on their defense. Yeah, they got Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb. Like, cool. Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham is good. But other than that, it's like, dude, I'm not sure like any of these dudes would start on the Steelers defense. Like, honestly,
starting on many teams. Honestly, like this.
Maybe Justin Reed, maybe at safety because I like him too. But it's like, dude, your front 7 is just decimated. Other than Zach Cunningham, I don't really think that any of these guys are that legit. You can name all these guys to people, you know, NFL fans, and I guarantee you they won't know what team these guys are on. Like, I don't even think most people can name 3 players on this Texans defense right now without looking it up. Yeah, I'm out in the Texans. So I guess to recap real quick, we both took the under on the Colts. I'm surprised by that. That might be one that I change come the start of the season. I'm just 11 wins.
It's tough.
You went under on the Titans. I went over on the Titans. We both took the over on the Jags, and we both took the under on the Texans. So there is your AFC South over-unders.
I'm just thinking that this division is going to be horrible. For some reason.
I wouldn't be surprised. It does not seem like a division. The only team I feel like that's really trending up right now is the Jaguars. Like all these other teams, it could really implode. Let's go to your boys though with the Julio Jones trade. We've been beating around the bush a little bit this episode, saying, "Oh, he might go to Atlanta, or not Atlanta. He might go to Tennessee."
I wish he would go to Atlanta.
I want to get your opinion on it though, as the big Falcons fan. What is your whole take on this Julio Jones situation?
You know, the thing that I felt like it was hard for me to believe is because Arthur Blank made a promise 2 years ago during his little contract extension when he got signed for 3 years, $66 million. He's like, Julio will be a Falcon for life. So I kind of just thought, okay, like till my dying day, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones will be just, you know, on this offense. But I kind of got to agree with Julio here. The thing is, like, the Falcons don't have cap and they need to sign these players like they just drafted, and you can free up 15 mil just like that and give something back in return, you know, maybe like a second. Like, they're asking first round, doubt they get first round unless a team was really thirsty for Julio. So I'm fine with that part. But now it's just like apparently Julio reached out he was unhappy, wanted to look for a trade a couple months ago. And apparently it dates back early 2018 when he like sat out of camp because he still hadn't got his new contract extension. I think that falls back on Dimitrov. Dude's just screwing us over. And after, like, if eventually it got done, he got paid. But I think it was like pretty brutal that nobody really talked about because Julio doesn't really show emotion and like tweet like some of these other receivers do. AB. It's just, and I think it was pretty bad in the office, and the relationship was pretty unsolvable after that point. And now you're kind of just seeing it with a new like GM, new coach, and everything. They're kind of like, hey man, like you're not ours. Like, we're gonna get rid of you at this point, and I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with Julio wanting out. It seems like a situation that makes sense to both teams.
Plus, you haven't been winning.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing. And it's not even that you haven't been winning. It's that every year you thought you were going to be a playoff team. Every year for like the past 3 years, all the Falcons fans and even the media is taking the bait, saying like, oh, well, yeah, this team definitely had a rough year last year, but they have the tools. They have what it takes to be a playoff team. And their defense, for a large part of it, has just been so bad.
I mean, it's horrific. But, like, I think Julio, now that I look at it, has been hitting at it for, like, the past couple of years. Like, every press conference, Julio will go have 9 catches, 120 yards, no touchdowns, right? He's got 0 touchdowns through the first 8 games. And the dude will ask him, be like, are you disappointed in not scoring? And he would say, I don't care about that. I just want to win. And then you look at the scoreboard and the Falcons are losing 41-21. So I think he was hinting at it all along. I think he wants to go to a contender. And I think the Falcons owe him everything in the world to ship him off to a contender. I know his 2 favorites right now are the Titans and Patriots, and I think those would be incredible lands for him right there. You know, like Ryan Tannehill, like I think he's very comparable to Matt Ryan. You put him alongside also a very talented receiver in A.J. Brown. And the Patriots, well, you know, he'd be the number 1, and it's the Patriots.
Yeah. You know, whether I saw that people were saying like, oh, well, he said that Matt Ryan's deep ball wore off, but Cam Newton and Mac Jones, it's like, dude, I'm not even sure it's about that. I think that
I don't think Julio's talking crap about Matt. I don't think Julio would do that.
Like, well, I think what he said is true. I think that Matt Ryan's deep ball has let off a little bit.
Oh yeah, it for sure has. Like his arm strength has declined. I mean, he's 36 damn years old.
He's still a good quarterback though. Like he's still a good player. He still has good years in the NFL, but I mean, at least last season it wasn't on point. Like I think he's got a point. I think that Julio deserves to be dealt. I was kind of thinking that maybe the Colts could be in the running, but because they gave up those draft picks in the Carson Wentz trade, it's just you don't really have solvent picks to give up in next year's draft. So I agree with you. I think that it's going to be a 2nd-round pick for Julio. Maybe like a combination of like a 3rd and a 4 or something, and like a combination of picks, because a 2nd, it might be a little bit steep for a receiver of his age, and like the fact that you have to have like a good 15 million cap room to take him on, and it's just like it's a COVID salary cap, so there's just not a whole lot of teams that have the ability to. So that's just going to kind of drive the demand down with the amount of teams that can do it. So naturally, that should drive the price down a little bit.
I was thinking something that could be interesting is I see the Packers are like freeing up a little bit of cap space. What if like the Packers make an offer to the Falcons and do give them that 1st round to you, that last little shot just to say, hey, A-Rod, we got you, Julio.
Yeah, true.
Like, could that be a possible thing? Like, I think that would be good. I would hate him going for the Packers because I'd cheer against them. You know, like, I can't have the Packers doing good. But, like, I think that would be interesting. I also saw this trade today. They were saying Matt Ryan and Julio Jones for Aaron Rodgers, Michael Valdez-Scantling, and a 4th-round pick. Imagine that. Aaron Rodgers just on the Falcons. That'd be sick.
That's not happening. The Falcons don't have the cap to pull that off.
Oh, yeah, no. But it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, we'll know after June 1st. Was that next week?
Oh, I forgot to change the topic. All right, well, we can move on anyway. So, Bo Nix in Auburn, I guess I'll call this. So, Jordan Palmer, one of the most respected quarterback, what do you call him? Like a quarterback trainer. He does like a whole lot of work with a lot of highly rated prospects. Like he worked with Trevor Lawrence. I know he's worked with like Josh Allen and a whole lot of other guys. He's one of the most respected quarterback trainer guys in the entire world, right? He gets a ton of really top-end prospects and top-end players that work with him, and he's had very good results. He came out and said the other day that he thinks that Bo Nix will be the number 1 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. So me and Steed, naturally, we were talking about it before the pod and just randomly when we're coming up with segments, I said, you know what, dude, screw it. Let's just talk about it on the pod. What do we think of Bo Nix and this Auburn team? Because when we were talking about college football not too long ago, whether it was on the pod or not, I was thinking that Auburn right now, in my opinion, is one of the more underrated SEC teams. I don't necessarily have a ton of expectations for them, but I do think that they are one of the teams in the SEC that really has the ability to move really far up from their preseason projection. I don't even think they're in the preseason top 25. And you have teams like LSU and Florida over them. And I truly believe that Auburn really could be on the same level of those teams. Now, this is obviously relying on Bo Nix to really take that next step so that your offense can be a good Bo Nix, like a top 10, top 15 quarterback in college football level Bo Nix, as well as Tank Bigsby taking a step forward and your defense being pretty good. There are some factors that need to fall into place for Auburn to be that like a good SEC team instead of being kind of like that classic 6-win team, 7-win, 5-win kind of team.
Yeah.
Because you got to be good because you're playing the SEC. You're going to be playing some hard games consistently. So I'm going to throw it to you, Steed. What are you thinking about Auburn?
The thing, Jesse Palmer saying that Bo Nix
Jordan Palmer.
Jordan Palmer being the number. Jesse Palmer's the dude from Florida. But him thinking that Bo Nix would be the number one pick of the draft, I think it's a little asinine. I think Bo Nix is trash. I think he's horrible.
Not holding back at all.
I get it. He shows glimpses of where he's been good, and you see the talent. You're like, okay, but I don't the kid's going to literally have to prove it. He's going to be in a quarterback competition this year. They had that Finley kid from LSU who played a little bit last year. He transferred to Auburn. You're going in with a new coach. This guy didn't recruit Bo Nix. Okay, this guy who recruited Bo Nix was Gus Malzahn, and we remember Gus Malzahn was in love with Bo Nix because Bo Nix went to all of his camps, and it's just was family friends and stuff. Was close with his dad's, knew Bo Nix since he was a little kid and stuff. I think a little bit of daddy ball going on there, but I think that's what happened. They had some. Last season they were 6-5, but the season before when they had Derek Brown and all of them, they were a good team. They were 8-4.
Bo Nix was trash that year. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but that they were holding them back that year, and I can't give him too much credit because he's a true freshman playing the SEC West. That's got to be tough, but. He didn't show any leap forward next year where I'm expecting it. He's got to have some confidence, you're playing for Auburn, second year starting, when are you going to take and you played the worst game I've ever seen a quarterback play against a trash South Carolina team that's ranked 130 in the country in defense. It is, and then he got just throttled against Georgia, which is a good defense. And Bama beat them up and that's a really good defense. And A&M destroyed them. Good, they were an all right defense last year. So against the good teams, he hasn't really proved anything, especially last year when the talent dropped off. I'm very interested in seeing if he I don't know. I feel like he's like the college, how Mitchell Trubisky played in NFL. It just that's how Bo Nix feels like to me. It's just you see the talent there, but it's just something holding him back where you can't really trust him too much,
I almost feel like he's everything that was wrong with Will Grier is very apparent in Bo Nix.
At least Grier would keep you in game.
The thing is with Bo Nix, though, is that the dude has every single tool in the toolbox to be a really top-tier college quarterback and even a top-tier NFL prospect, which is why I still have hope in him. And, this is the big jump that a lot of quarterbacks have made in the past. Your freshman and sophomore year, you struggled, but junior year and senior year,
it's time to shine.
All of a sudden, the flip switches. You're not an underclassman anymore. You know the biz. You've been around. You're more comfortable. So I'm not going to count Bo Nix out like you are. I'm not
really counting him out. He's just going to have to show me.
Yeah, he's going to have to show me. But I think that he can do it. He can do it, especially if he's working with Jordan Palmer and Jordan Palmer cleans him up. You get a coaching staff that really tailors an offense to him. But
Shea Patterson worked with Jordan Palmer. Do I remember that correct? And Shea Patterson was just ass.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously Jordan Palmer's not throwing the ball for him, so he's got to do a lot of the work.
I
He's
mean,
got to
yeah, true,
play.
true.
And
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
true.
not arm talent and stuff that's the problem with Bo Nix. It's like everything else. But it just in terms of pure talent, he's got the tools. So just if he can put it together, and we've seen it before, because quarterback is a weird position where you can flip the switch almost, and you can go from looking like the worst guy in the league to all of a sudden going and playing really well. And I think that's something that fans kind of struggle to get behind because they're always like, "Oh, dude, well, how is this guy not looked at all, and then all of a sudden he's a top NFL prospect?" It's like, because dude, he flipped the switch. He always had the talent.
Yeah.
This guy always had the talent, but he finally put it together. He's confident. He's getting it going. He's got the stuff, right? It happens.
Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow, Matt Jones, like those guys.
I think people shit on those guys a little bit too much too. I don't really think, like Joe Burrow, for example, he did not come out of nowhere. If you watch college football a lot, like you knew who Joe Burrow was probably. He started for LSU. It's not like he started for a small school. He was one of the top recruits out of Ohio. It's not like Joe Burrow was like a 0-star walk-on that just all of a sudden started lighting it up,
Like a Baker.
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is a better example of a dude who legitimately came out of nowhere and lit it up and started playing well, right? Like, Joe Burrow is a pretty damn sought-after prospect. Besides the point, I'm interested in this Auburn team. I'm going to have to see it to believe it with them. I'm not going to bet on them or anything preseason. And they start off their schedule pretty damn easy. So if they drop one of those games, it's going to be kind of concerning. But, you can easily see this team be 4-0.
They play Akron and they play Alabama State. The big kicker is when they play Penn State. And I believe that game's at Penn State. Hold on, let me check.
That could be a bit of a bait though, because me and you are both in the camp that we don't think that Penn State's going to be all that good next year.
Out on Penn State, but they're going to wide out that stadium, and let's just say Bo Nix is probably going to play the first half of the first two games, right? Like they're going to be up 28-0 in the first quarter. It's going to be a blowout, and then they're going to shuffle around 3 or 4 quarterbacks. You get Bo Nix, and it's going to be a night game, and it gets a little loud in Penn State. Penn State's done it before. Like, you could kind of see him choke under the pressure there. Like, a big stage game with a lot of fans in there. I just don't know if Bo Nix – like, that's where Bo Nix would earn my trust is week 3 against Penn State. If he goes in there and tears him up, I don't think Penn State's going to be good. I'm just speaking – that would be a huge confidence booster for me, and I think for Bo Nix that I could kind of start to believe in him.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that, man, I really struggle to see LSU on a much higher pedestal than a team like Auburn. And even Florida, I think Florida's coaching staff is better than both LSU and Auburn, which does give them an advantage, but you think about how much they lost. Their defense was trash last year, and now you lose crucial offensive pieces. It's going to be tough to replace. I mean, whether you like Kyle Trask or not, you can't deny the fact that he was a phenomenal college quarterback.
But the thing is, Emory Jones for them is going to have to be huge, or whoever their backup is right now. But the thing about college is these programs, they're getting top 15, top 10 classes. So it's just kind of you have to have that next up mentality. And you're not going to replace the Kyle Pitts, right? You're not going to do that. There's no way they have 2 Kyle Pitts on their team. Unless Florida just has something in the water down there in Gainesville, and they just have a bunch of Kyle Pitts.
A secret lab where they're just making these superstar tight ends.
Kyle Pitts. But I think Tony's easily replaceable. Grimes, I mean, he went undrafted. He's easily replaceable. I think the defense would get better for them. But for Auburn, going back to them, I think the defense is going to be fine. They had a lot of returning starters come back for that defense. I'm not worried about the defense. I'm not worried about the rushing offense because you and me agree. Tate Bisbee, get ready in a year because he'll be the number one running back off the board easily. So I would say
2023 he will be.
Yeah, in 2 years, I guess. They don't have receiving core. Well, I mean, they do have one, but they lost all three starting receivers. And for a quarterback that struggled with these three receivers, now has to get this new connection with three new guys. And he's definitely thrown to these guys before, but like in a game, like kind of sets every single down, I think that's going to be tough. Now, easily can find it in these first two games. I mean, you're pretty much playing high school teams out there against Akron and Alabama State. It doesn't really matter. But, you lose every single receiver, it's going to be tough.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that we both agree on. Is this is why Bo Nix needs to take that next step, is that if you want to beat Georgia or one of those Georgia-esque teams, you're going to have to be able to do more than run the football, because Georgia is good enough and they're going to be stacked enough up front on their defense that they will shut down any team's running game aside from like Alabama, because Alabama's got first-round picks on every single offensive line spot and running back, right? Aside from that, it's like, dude, Georgia's going to probably win that battle up front, especially if you just have an average offensive line group.
That's just where you come into the tiers of the SEC. Like, Auburn falls into a mixture of teams where they probably fall in just a little below Florida, but like I'd put them like somewhere around Ole Miss and LSU. Pick your poison with those teams. It's kind of the same story. Like, Ole Miss and Auburn both have very talented quarterbacks, but they got to take the next step for that team to really be good. Auburn probably has a better defense than Ole Miss, but I know Ole Miss's offense can put up points, and I think that's like the same tier. Like, if you put in all the SEC teams, like it goes probably Bama, Georgia, A&M, Florida, and then it's a little bit of a drop off, and then I think that's when you get into the 7 and 8 win teams of an Ole Miss, Auburn, and LSU.
I agree.
And the only way out of that is out of good quarterback play. And it falls on Bo Nix. And I know Finley just transferred. Finley played a little bit against us. That's the only time I've seen him play for LSU. I mean, it wasn't very impressive, especially because you're playing a middle school defense out there. Like, I could run out there and throw 400 yards, I'm pretty sure, left-handed. But
yeah, as long as you're not throwing it to J.C. Horn, you're probably doing pretty well.
But what I like about him transferring and because of the new coach, I don't think the job's safe. So I think he kind of has like that drive where there is a true kind of like quarterback. There's a little heat on him. He knows that. Yeah. So this is where you figure out who Bo Nix is, and they have to already have a kind of an idea of it, because he has like a guy bearing down on his neck just transferred coming in. He's got to this is where you want to figure out what kind of player he is. Like, hey man, this spot's not yours. You got to earn this. Like you're a freshman all over again. Like, I don't give a hell what Malzahn was doing over here. We're going to do what we did at Boise State. Like, here we go.
Yeah, maybe it's just my love for Kellen Mond, but I think that Bo Nix could easily turn a Kellen Mond here, where his freshman and sophomore year, he just looks so trash and so underdeveloped, but he has the talent, right? And then junior year, he kind of just turns a new leaf. And all of a sudden, he's a good quarterback, and he's keeping you in football games. And he's not perfect, but he's a damn good player.
That's the thing, though.
Maybe. I don't know, though. Because you're right. The thing is, he has no Jimbo Fisher. Auburn doesn't have a Jimbo.
But the thing is, Jimbo had that pedigree coming in. Like, Jimbo had coached at Florida State for years, and Florida State had been a powerhouse. Like, I mean, before Clemson rose up, it was Florida State. I mean, we're talking Jameis Winston. We're talking about elite program. Like, Jimbo, top 5 head coach. We don't know about this Boise State. Like, we do know about him because Boise State has been good in his 6 or 7 year tenure. But, like, he's not a big name like Jimbo. This could easily be a great hire for Auburn, where, like, they found this guy for a little cheaper than what the Jimbos of the world are going for. I'm just saying, if Bo Nix transfers and like kind of falls into that Kellen Mond mix where like he takes that next level, I would then like the teams are going to succeed, and I would look a lot into the coach. Like I would look a lot into Jimbo Fisher's success on why these quarterbacks change like that.
But I don't know. You look at the gambling lines. I think you look at the consensus. I think that Auburn is being a little too discounted. I'm not. I think like obviously we're gonna have to see it to believe it, and things can change wildly. But you just look at a team that has the potential to kind of jump where they're at right now, especially with the SEC, how it's laying out right now. I'm not sure how legit these teams like Florida, LSU, and even Georgia to a certain extent. Not saying that I don't think Georgia's going to be a legit team, but if you're going to ask me, is Georgia going to jump into that top 5 team in college football category, I'm probably going to say no. I'm not saying that Auburn is, but you're telling me that Auburn, if they do have a good team and Auburn jumps into like a top 15, top 20 team in football, that they can't possibly beat a Georgia.
Oh yeah, no, they could beat. They have the talent to hang in with everybody in the SEC, and it's not that. It maybe not as deep as these teams. Like you would really need a good plan of attack, but like they could hang with them. And again, it comes down to quarterback play. I got a question to ask for you though. If you had they play today, and the game's in LSU this year, Auburn or LSU, who you taking?
Auburn. I'm taking Auburn.
You want to know something about this? It's
what?
In LSU. Auburn hasn't won. I didn't know this. Auburn hasn't won in Death Valley since 1999.
Yeah, not until Tank Bigsby runs all over that LSU defense they have.
1999? I mean, Auburn is
yeah,
like
but let
won
me
a
ask
championship.
you this. Let me ask you this.
I'm not fighting you on this. Like they could easily do. I'm just more amazed that it's been that many years. Like they won a ring with Cam Newton. They've been to another national championship. I guess that's when they were playing them at home.
Yeah, they're just playing them at home. Yeah, well, here's the thing, kind of bringing up some of those good Auburn teams. It seems like every single year that Auburn has a legit offense, they're a really legit team.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just to me, with Tank Bigsby, and I don't love Bo Nix, but like, fuck, maybe you get Bo Nix, like, assuming that Bo Nix becomes like a halfway decent quarterback. Like, I feel like, yeah, you need receivers, but hopefully you get some receivers.
I think they do, like, Auburn, in their really good runs, they've had, like, kind of these, like, the one receiver I could name from Auburn with these really good teams, and, like, you should kind of know, Sammy Coates, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, they don't really have these elite receiver guys, you know? Like, they've been speedy guys, but they've always been a little different because, I mean, they had Cam and what was his name, Nick Marshall, but out of those teams, like, they had good running back play. Like Cam had Michael Dwyer, Marshall had
but they've had good running backs. Running game.
But look at the running backs they've had. You had Trey Mason when they were really good. You had Kerryon Johnson when you were good.
I mean, Cam Newton's basically a running back.
Yeah, I mean, they had Michael Dwyer. At the time, Michael Dwyer was a very solid prospect. He just got into some trouble. But, like, Tate Bigsby is a better running back than all three of them. Like, he just is. Like prospect and just how it is, like, coming in, like, he is better than them. So they got that part. They're getting to the part where they don't know who their receivers are. That's what Auburn likes to do, dude. They don't know. They don't like the receivers. Now it just falls on Bo Nix to play like Cam and them did.
Auburn better with worse receivers. Auburn is a better team with worse receivers.
I think they are. Look at Jarrett Stidham. I mean, like, the year they did really well with Jarrett Stidham, lost to UGA, and of course they lost to UCF in the Peach Bowl. But I mean, that was the real natty champion that year. It's just Bo Nix
UCF, the self-proclaimed national champion.
Yeah. And I'm just speaking on, like, the success of Auburn because obviously, like, Bo Nix would have to play a lot better to be, like, Jordan Palmer saying he's number one. But you don't have to play like a number one. Like if Bo Nix plays like a number one overall pick next year, then I would say Auburn is definitely going to be in the college football playoff hunt. Okay, but if he played at a Jarrett Stidham level, I mean, you're getting a 9-3 team, 10-2 team. I think
That's what I'm saying is that like for where they are, like in terms of just from like looking at the gambling lines. I don't really know. I haven't talked to a bunch of college football guys. I don't know how they're feeling on Auburn. But like when you look at where they are at right now in the projected standings of the SEC, I just think that they're a little bit too low for what they actually could be. I'm not expecting anything, but dude, this team has what it takes from the outside perspective. I feel like they have what it takes to be one of those good level Auburn teams, to be a 9-3 team and be ranked in the top 25 and be like what? The fourth best SEC team, the third best SEC team. I think that they could easily do that. Yeah, they're not going to go dethrone Alabama, and they'll probably lose to Georgia. But you're telling me they can't be better than Florida? You're telling me they can't be better than even maybe an A&M? Yeah, it's a stretch, but fuck, dude, I don't know. A&M might maybe switch A&M and Georgia around. Maybe switch those two teams around.
I don't know. I like them to play close in a lot of games this year. Maybe not Georgia. They do have the benefit of the doubt where they don't have to play very hard teams. I mean, looking at the players, like who they play in the East besides Georgia, they got South Carolina. I mean, that should be easy. Yeah, that should be an easy win. So you're there. I'd like this team to go 8-4. I think that's where I would lock them in at. I would say 8-4. Losses to Georgia, Bama, A&M, right? Those three. And this is just how I'm saying if I don't get a really good Bo Nix, I still like them. I think I like them to lose to Ole Miss. I think I would buy into Ole Miss more than Auburn.
Yeah, Ole Miss is one of those teams. It's just I feel like Ole Miss can beat anyone and they can lose to anyone. But you're not saying. See, here's the thing. Like, I'd be more scared of losing to LSU than I think I would at Ole Miss because you're getting Auburn at home against Ole Miss, but you're playing at LSU. I think I'm more scared of the LSU game.
Yeah, maybe flip those two, and especially now knowing that they haven't won since 1999. But the thing is, I think Auburn's a team that's really good enough that they could shock, like they could beat an A&M. Like I love A&M, and I think they're ready to take that next step. But let's just say this new quarterback, last name King, right? Really high sought-out prospect. He doesn't turn out to be, like, all that great. And he's kind of like a shaky kind of guy. Like, he plays good one week, but not the next. If you catch him on an off day, like, you can be at A&M.
On that note, I think we're going to end it here. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on the tube, hit us with a juicy sub. We'd really appreciate it. If you're watching on the Twitch, hit us with a follow. Peace out.